Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special International Women's Day edition of the Coffee with Convery podcast. Today, we're celebrating the women who are shaping the future of talent, branding, and communications, both breaking barriers, driving innovation, and redefining leadership. International Women's Day is more than just a day, it's a movement, a call to action to accelerate gender equality, uplift women's voices, and create opportunities for future generations. In this episode, I'll be speaking with trailblazing women who have not only made an impact in their fields, but are actively paving the way for others to rise. From navigating career challenges to building powerful brands and championing diversity, equity, and inclusion, our guests will share their personal journeys, hard-earned lessons, and insight on what it takes to lead in today's evolving world. Today, I'm joined by four wonderful women. First up is Kay Lane, a communicator, coach, and a car girl who loves empowering people. Second up is Nancy D'Onofrio. She's serving the tea on all things talent, career, and the future of work. Thirdly is Dina Patel, an idea generator filled with optimism, energy, and passion, and an advocate for mental health. And finally is Marilyn Raphael, an empathetic leader who's passionate about helping customers, colleagues, and communities reach their full potential. Ladies, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Amazing to have you. So, what I want to do first, and maybe you guys can all come off mute for this because it's going to be a rapid fire question. Um, Couple questions about just to get to know you a little bit more. So, we'll start with Nancy. What's your superpower?
Oh, I'm curious.
Curious.
About curiosity all the time. I'm so curious about people and their
Awesome.
story. Yeah.
Awesome. Dina.
I'd say giving people hope, believing in people, and helping them believe in themselves.
Awesome. Marilyn.
Dina, you stole my piece. Definitely helping people identify their own giftings. That's my superpower.
Amazing. Kay.
I'm a people person too, so it's a lot of being able to connect. I can connect, I feel, with anyone.
That's amazing. Love it. Talking about school, a lot of our listeners are making those schools to work transitions and sometimes taking interesting courses. What was your favorite subject in school? I'll start with Dina.
Ooh, I would say marketing. I think it's a great way and a creative way to connect with people.
Amazing. Kay.
I went through broadcasting, so my favorite would be like in high school English. Yeah.
English. Okay. Okay. Marilyn.
Mm.
I'm a psychology major in undergrad before I did business. So I would say psych. I love to learn about people and understanding what motivates them to do the things they do.
Amazing. How about you, Nancy?
I am a creative spirit, so for me it was art and design. Hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, now thinking back, we all start somewhere in our career, doing something as a job. Um, Going back, can you think about what your very first job was? Okay.
In high school, I was that person that came up to you in stores and asked you, "Do you want a credit card?" Yeah, that was me.
Okay, awesome. Good customer service, good interactions there. Dina?
I started as a gallery attendant, so in art galleries. So there were a couple of art galleries, and I was the person that opened the door, sat there, and answered any questions.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I didn't know that about you. Nancy.
I was in retail, so I worked at a clothing store, and was just there folding clothes, helping customers, initiating conversations, learning about them. So yeah, that was my one of my first gigs.
Awesome. And Marilyn, how about you? First job.
My first job was the summer of grade 9 at Canada's Wonderland. So I was in carts, I was
Yeah,
in the hot sun selling you ice cream, or sometimes I was lucky to be in the area where I could sell you popcorn.
Uh,
love that.
I was definitely running to the ice cream, that's for sure. So this one is my final last rapid fire, and then we'll get into it. Describe yourself in one word, Nancy.
Oh, one word, positive.
Positive,
Yeah.
awesome. Marilyn,
Love.
love. I love that. Dina,
Passion.
passion. Kay,
Tenacious.
Tenacious. Wow. We are in for an amazing conversation here today. So let's just get going on some of these questions. Thank you all again for joining me on such a great topic and bringing your energy to it today. So, Kay, I want to start with you. I know I introduced you as the car girl too, so I know you can also talk a little bit more about that. But you wear many hats: founder, executive coach, DE&I advocate, and the automotive journalist, which I think is fascinating. How have these diverse roles shaped your perspective on leadership, branding, and equity? And what unique insights do you bring to International Women's Day from your journey?
Okay, that's quite the question. So I'm going to start with, let's see, from boardrooms to the automotive sector, I see how true diversity, it fuels innovation. I know it's like a bad word right now, but really and truly, as we celebrate International Women's Day, I want to bring the perspective that women's empowerment isn't just about representation. It's about ensuring once they get in, they have the tools, the opportunities, the platforms to advance and lead boldly and authentically. And everybody wins by that. The biggest thing, companies that thrive is when the outside looks like the inside. So anybody you see on the outside of their company is on the inside. My journey has shown that breaking barriers, and this is one thing, once I get in the room, it's about being able to transform the room itself. So hopefully that that answers it. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And could you talk a little bit about the journalist piece? That's an interesting. I'm curious for some of our listeners who might be interested in pursuing a job like that. That's interesting.
Well, what's great about journalism right now, or being a journalist, is that you have so many avenues to get in. When I was coming through school, you were kind of going straight through to television and you had gatekeepers. Now you have YouTube, you have different platforms. So it's I would say get out there and get out there early. If you are somebody that's looking to get into journalism, one thing that I did is the moment I got into university, I think by the second week I already had an internship. I didn't wait till when I got there, and that allowed me to work under some great people. So by the time I was ready to graduate, I'd already been working in the field. I remember having to ask my boss for the day off for my graduation, and he actually was like, "Graduation from what?" So I would say, yeah, just get in there, be bold, and already, yeah, just
I
go
love
for it.
that. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's so important. Don't wait. Go
Don't
after your
wait.
dreams now, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. Nancy, I know you have been involved in shaping the future of work, breaking gender barriers in sales, and mentoring the next generation of women leaders. What do you think, from your vantage point, is biggest challenge women are still facing in sales, and how can we take action to accelerate real change?
Yeah, absolutely. I think let's review some stats. Here in Canada, 1/3 of B2B sellers in Canada are women. That drops in the tech sales space. We see only 1/4 of women in B2B tech sales in Canada. And then only 1/10 of those women are in leadership roles. So there's a huge disconnect with women in sales leadership. And the challenges that we face is we actually have less mentorship than men do, less org support than men do. We actually face higher cases of sexual harassment and discrimination. So these are some challenges that are
Wow.
preventing women from joining B2B sales. And if they join and they face this, they actually want to get out. So we have a lot of work to do. And I can give you an example. I actually visited a client about a month and a half ago. And I work for a fantastic organization that's very intentional of promoting and having women in senior sales positions. All of us were all women at this sales meeting. And the receptionist at the company that I was visiting said, "Wow, this is so rare. I never see this." And it just blew me away because we have a lot more work to do. I'm lucky to work at a forward-thinking organization, but there is a lot of disconnect with women in sales and leadership. And so we really have to start having more voice and paving the way. And I'm happy to help champion that as well.
Thank you for sharing that and the stats as well. It really does help us understand that dilemma and what's in front of us.
And I faced the the discrimination, sexual harassment part as well. I've been in sales for many, many years. So I've faced that. And, it's put me into several uncomfortable positions where I go into the conversation to have conversations about business, but then it goes someplace else, which is really disappointing. Yeah.
That's too bad. Thank you for sharing that and sharing
Yeah,
your personal journey.
absolutely.
Dina, let's talk about some of your experiences. And as a passionate advocate for mental health and a leader in human-centric design, how do you think organizations can better support women's mental health and well-being in the workplace?
So, that's a twofold question, really, because mental health is one part of it, and then gender is another. From a mental health perspective, we have come a long way. I mean, speaking from a Canadian perspective, a long way in really better understanding the impact and the things we need to think about for mental health. I think paramount is creating that culture, no matter which organization you're with, and let alone the organization, your family, the communities that you're in, really embodying and representing that it's okay to not be okay. And I know that's a sort of a cliche thing to say, but really it's acknowledging that anybody and at any given time might be going through something. And it's giving yourself the enforcing that you have to have passion and understanding and give the space for people to understand where they're coming from and what they're going through. And from a women's perspective, women's wellness, when we think about, I also am very privileged to work in an organization that's very forward thinking. And I'm seeing things like discussions around reproductive services and capabilities, things that are really helping women better understand menopause. So no matter where you are in your life, women in history have always had to keep that zipped. That would not be something that we would ever disclose. And we're in a place now, hopefully, and it's going to continue to get even better, where we're in a place where these kinds of things are normalized. It's natural and it's open to have these conversations. I have a friend right now going through breastfeeding at the office, and even just figuring out, where do you do that? How do you do that? How do you face the comment of like, hey, I'm still doing this thing. It's deeply private and personal, but I kind of need a space. And I know I'm going to need to do it between X and Y o'clock. So these are all things that women's, initiatives are being thought about. And I'm seeing more and more companies lean in, being more observant of, and really embracing that inclusive space. And those are some of the things that you could think about. And when you're thinking about the kind of company you want to join or where you may want to be of how you lead, it's being eyes wide open in that space so that you can create that space if that space is ever needed.
Love it. Thank you, Dina. Thank you for sharing those insights. Marilyn, your experience spans leadership strategy, transformational change from all different industries. As a leader known for driving results and building great partnerships, how do you navigate the challenges of influencing with authority or without authority? And what advice do you have for women looking to make a lasting impact in those leadership roles?
It's a good question. I've been thinking a lot about leading without authority. So I'm the youngest of five. I have four older brothers, and in many ways, I did not have authority, but somehow I'm the boss. And so I think getting to that point where you're leading and influencing without formal authority, it's kind of a blend of kind of influence, relationship building, and kind of strategy. And so in my personal experience, building influence really comes from trust and credibility. And I'm the kind of person that when I'm really, really competent, I'm really confident. And so that's one piece of advice I would give to women out there is to make sure that you are the subject matter expert. Make sure that you know your stuff in and out and figure out how you add value to the conversation, even if you're not the one that is the subject matter expert at times, but making sure that you've done your research and you're bringing value. Like I think you shared, Brian, I've worked in healthcare. So I have been working on cardiac projects. I've worked in finance. I'm working in financial planning. I've worked in asset management. And to be able to navigate those spaces comes from being able to learn very quickly and being able to add value right away. I would think the second thing I'd add is being able to act like a leader even before you have the title. Sometimes we think leaders are people who have a formal title, and many of us have the skills and competencies to motivate people, to drive results through other people, to build capacity in your teammates and your colleagues. Those are all critical skills to leadership. And even if you don't have a formal title, I think taking on that persona, being able to rests on your social capital comes also from relationship building. I think all of us here have probably done a ton of talent assessments. I am a relator when it comes to strength building, and that comes from being able to get to know the people that I work with, the people that are in all my cross-functional projects, whether they're junior or more senior than me, making sure that I understand their motivations, the goals that they're trying to achieve, and how I'm bringing value into all of those spaces. The third would be around kind of speaking like a leader. I think we talk about how leaders speak and how it's different from sometimes just individual contributors. Sometimes it's through the art of storytelling, being able to find points of connections, and using those skills at every opportunity to convey the message and the key messages that you want to drive. So, and last but not least, I would say just kind of resilience and self-advocacy. We know that not everybody is given the same benefit of the doubt. We know that some people are given more opportunities than others, but having a little bit of a growth mindset. And if when you face some challenges and setbacks, not seeing it as some catastrophic situation, but it's an opportunity to rebrand, figure out how you might come back to that situation and add value. So there's a lot of ways that we influence people, influence projects, influence initiatives, whether it's with customers, whether it's with physician groups, whether it's with executives. And that really comes from a sound understanding that you bring something to the table, that you are very competent and capable, and that every opportunity that you get to kind of demonstrate that competency, you take it.
Wow. Wow. What a powerhouse of insights from this group. I hope the listeners are taking notes and taking names here because this is incredible. Thank you all for sharing so much insightful information with the listener group. And again, wow, I knew this was going to be great, but this is awesome. So let's go to the next question for everyone. I want to get a little bit of insights from each of you on this topic. And we often talk about breaking the glass ceiling. Again, maybe a bit cliche, but I think there's still value and a big value in talking about moments in careers where you had to overcome that gender-related challenge. Is there anything that you would feel comfortable sharing with the listener group about maybe overcoming a gender-related challenges that you faced, and what did you learn from it? I guess I can call out, or if someone wants to go first, I'm happy to let someone go first if that's fine too. Go ahead, Marilyn. Thanks.
Well, I definitely haven't broken any glass ceilings, but I have experienced some gender-related challenges. I remember doing a stint in investment banking and being given a task that maybe I didn't complete in the way that it was expected of me. And I remember having like presenting kind of my report back to my superior, who's a VP and D, or I think he was a managing director at the time. And we had some male colleagues in the room. And so he was giving kind of feedback on my report, but he was talking to my male colleagues as if like the expectation is that the work might be redone or there was an opportunity to improve it, but it was looking at my colleagues as opposed to me. And I remember now when you're in some of these spaces, junior professionals are not usually given a lot of respect compared to more senior people. So it's kind of par for the course in terms of how junior professionals sometimes are treated in some of these spaces. But I just remember feeling unseen and feeling like people were kind of talking around me and how devalued I felt in that moment. And like I said earlier, it was really around kind of putting on that growth mindset. So while I could have used that opportunity to whether be hard on myself or, think this opportunity is not for me, think, all these people are terrible and woe is me. I think the reality is I needed to be more competent and capable in that area. I realized that, yes, there was an engagement here, an exchange in which my male counterpart was maybe given the benefit of the doubt, was being supported in ways that I wasn't going to be supported. And I also realized how important it was, like I said, to make sure that I was prepared the next time around, that I had a resilient positive mindset, and that I was able to come back and present my work. And I got rave reviews at the end, but I didn't take it to heart, because I think sometimes women, we can internalize a lot of feedback, and then breaks us down. But I think it's really important for us to kind of develop some tough skin. A lot of the spaces we want to navigate, especially in the world of leadership, these are not easy spaces, and it's important for us to just toughen up a little bit. And again, I come with 4 brothers, and so I've had to kind of make sure that I can get in the ring with the best of them. But I think it's important for young women in particular, when you do face some challenges in work, especially in very competitive sectors, not to internalize this, and to recognize that you do have the skills and competencies to bounce back and be more resilient the next time around.
Thank you so much for sharing that experience and providing the insights on how you managed through that. Nancy, do you have an example of an overcoming a gender-related challenge?
Yeah, I mean, it did. I do have an example. At the time, I was in tech sales and I was at a conference in Vegas, as many conferences happen in Vegas, for HR technology. I was prospecting a client, had a great lunch with this client. Obviously, I'm very professional, kept it about business, but then proceeded to message me at midnight, wanting to meet up for a nightcap. So yeah, so crossing the line and the boundaries there, and this is something that I've faced throughout my sales career, and it's unfortunate because I bring a lot of value and market expertise to the conversation where I can drive value, and it's unfortunate that some people don't choose to view the partnership in that light with me. So I think over the years, and it's not that I let that get to me. I knew that it was, not cool. And in so many words, how can I really just not let that bother me and prevail through, because there are a lot of great conversations I was having. So those are just some instances where I felt sort of that inequality in the sales space at a higher level. And I think it's just created more of a thicker skin for me as I get further and further in my sales career. So if anything, it's really made me a lot stronger, Brian.
Yeah. I'm sorry you endured those and haven't endured those experiences. It's just not, yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Dina, how about you? Did you want to share maybe a gender-related challenge? Yeah.
I mean, just hearing from the panelists already, and it's a reminder that you can trust your gut. Like, knowing yourself, you know what's right and wrong. You know how you feel, and you also know how you would treat others. And that strength and that knowing in yourself right from wrong, and being strong enough to stand up for yourself, no matter what the circumstance, is really important. That's by the way, goes beyond being female. It's to anybody that is dealing with a circumstance that they know might not be the right thing to do. And it's amazing that we have such strong individuals here chatting about their experience. Not everybody has that kind of level of strength and control and belief in themselves. So that's really important. I think probably all of us have had many gender related type things that we've gone through in our life. I'll highlight one around specific when I went on maternity, or when I was pregnant. And I have one daughter, and I was, first of all, terrified to tell my boss that I was pregnant, because this was going to derail the plan, the master plan of where I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be doing, where I was supposed to be flying, how I was supposed to be leading, and the things on my plate. So at first, I genuinely was actually very worked up about it. I finally disclosed 4 months into my pregnancy. I finally disclosed, and I got a lot of great support. And then I worried about what impact that would have. Well, some of the leadership at that time really discouraged me from taking maternity leave. And, I think you'll get all kinds of advice. Some people will be like, absolutely go after it. Others will be like, are you sure you really want to step away for that long? And I think, I think it would be unnatural if you didn't think about what impact that might have on you. However, I was in a space where I leaned in, I stood my ground. I definitely took the full year and I enjoyed it. And I'm grateful for it. At that time, it was a 1 year period. And I think the lessons learned are that you're in control of the decisions that you make. There will always be people influencing you, advising you. Some you believe are in best intent, but it may not hit you in the right way. Like, you may not hear it the right way, or you may have a different way of interpreting it. So really being strong, advocating for yourself, because often you know what you need to do, and you have a belief system of your own. And if you can go to bed at night and know you chose what's right for you, then that's the right thing for you, no matter what pressure gets put upon you. And the other is you're capable. You're capable and deserving of whatever next opportunity comes your way. And yes, a leave of absence may change certain things, but some things never change. And you jump right back in, and you are not any less, you are more capable because of what you've just done, taking a leave. So, food for thought for people that might be at that stage in their life.
Thank you, Dina. Wonderful, wonderful example of things that women do face and people face in the workplace. So thank you again for sharing. Kay, how about you? Do you have an example?
Oh, I have so many examples. I started off in sports, I work in automotive, and now I'm working with executives. And there's been things that hit me every time. I'm always the only chip in the cookie, only person of color, only female in the room. And I think, yeah, I'm the sweetest part. The only chip in the cookie is how I look at it. And I say to people, do not absorb it. So I'll show you an example. I was at a car show. My crew is all male, and I am the boss. So I'm giving them their orders. So I'm like, you're going to go shoot this, you're going to do that. They're taking notes, they're asking questions, they're being great. People standing around, they're like asking them, how could you report to her? How does that make you feel? Is she really the boss? And you know what? They were great. They just let it roll off. You just keep it moving. Another conference I went to, I was stopped at the door. I was told it was a automotive conference. It's not for outsiders. I'm like, I'm not an outsider. I'm here. And then when I walked in, a man turned to me and asked me if I could get him his coffee. He thought I was a waitress, even though I'm wearing a full suit. Okay. So sometimes what I would say is just don't absorb it. Let it roll off. Not, and use humor. For him, I was just like, I'm not really into coffee, but if you're getting a whiskey, come back and see me, or just laugh with it and keep going. But really don't allow it to cause imposter syndrome. You did not get where you are because you were less. You got there for probably, and studies show, you've got twice the know-how, twice the knowledge. You've got more than they do. So really, I would say don't absorb it. Keep a group of supportive people around you. So when these things happen, I have my people I can call. We'll laugh about it. We'll joke. It'll allow me to release it with them. And then I can walk back in the rooms with my chin held high and know that I need to be there. And me being there, I'm opening the door for others to be there. So really don't absorb it. Let it roll off. I know that's hard some days. And get a support group.
Amazing. Thank you, Kay. Thank you so much for sharing that example. I want to talk about an important topic for our listener group, which is around personal brand. I know each of you has that presence online. You're doing things about personal brand and branding in your jobs as well as in your careers. Could you help maybe with this question? How has building your personal or employer brand help you navigate maybe your career as a woman in this space? I think that's really the theme of today. So I want to add that dimension to the answer here. If you can think about personal employee brand, maybe it's personal in this case, helped you navigate your career as a woman in this space, and how you've leaned into that. Nancy, I'm going to start with you if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for
I-
building your personal brand. I do a lot of thought leadership on LinkedIn, and I think that it really helped me open the doors for me as a woman because it actually empowered me to get out of my comfort zone and connect and build partnerships with some amazing, powerful women within several different industries. And so having those thought leadership conversations and spending time with them, I've developed this community of mentors just through elevating my personal brand on LinkedIn and just networking at a very high level. And taking those conversations that I make online through LinkedIn and taking those into real life and putting the investment and nurture into those relationships has really opened my mindset on what I can achieve as a woman. And I've taken those conversations and I've brought those into my internal brand at organizations that I've worked in. It's really allowed me to, create opportunities for myself, elevate myself. So my external brand helped elevate my internal brand. And I really connect that to having a strong women empowerment and mentorship around me continuously.
That's great. And I know one of the things that, people when they start to look all you up on LinkedIn, because I'm sure you're going to get some fanfare from this conversation. You also were very intentional about changing your photo to be more approachable on
I
LinkedIn,
was.
right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's a really cool concept that most people may not think.
Yeah, interesting. I do have a story to share. Years ago, I was getting training on personal branding and how do you present yourself in terms of keynote speaking, public speaking. I remember somebody told me, like, don't be too energetic, don't be too much, right? Because, you know, you're an attractive woman. So that might come off a little like not great. Like it might give off the wrong tone. And I was like, and for years I kind of, I thought about that. Like I should tone down my energy. Maybe I'm a little much, and I thought, well, no, that's not being my authentic self. That really isn't. For me not to be smiling in my pic or waving. I'm a very fun, friendly, positive, approachable person. And I want that energy to come through in my profile pic because I want people to feel comfortable to come to me to have conversations. That is authentically who I am. And that's what's driven a lot of success for me in the sales world is creating this comfortable, safe space for my clients as well. So I wanted to bring that energy into my profile pic. And that's something I coach
Interesting.
people on LinkedIn. Be your authentic self. Well, what about the organization looks poorly at the, then that's not the right organization for you, right? You want to attract the right ones. Bring your authentic true self and don't feel you have to be a certain persona to open up the doors because you really don't.
Thank you. That was incredible. I love that. And I love your photo waving. So there you go.
It's a great conversation starter. I'm telling you. When I send connection requests, they're like, I have no choice to accept. Like, it's like you're waving at me. Or when clients are waiting to get onto Zoom calls, or my colleagues are like, oh my God, I love your pic. So, it creates a safe space for people to be themselves as well. And just to like the good energy, it brings good energy. And I'm all about empowering people to bring their best selves forward and to bring that energy because it's so addictive, right? It really
Oh,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Dina, how about you?
Oh, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I can definitely relate with being of energy, over too much energy, too happy, too excited, too good morning. And it's like, what's good about it? So I'm all with you on bringing your natural, beautiful, authentic self every single day to anything you do. Be real. And I think and Brian, you and I are, many people are like that nature. And it's so when you do create, so what is, when you think about your branding, your personal brand, this is you setting an intentional image of yourself, knowing who you are, being comfortable in your own skin and being your authentic self. What really beautifully said, Nancy. And it's giving you the opportunity to be known for that. And once you're known for that, for me, I mean, it's genuinely helped align with people of like-mindedness, connect to you. Just Brian, as you've connected us together for today's session, just like that, you connect with people that you feel comfortable with and can continue with. It also really elevates transferable skills. So what I mean by that are the things that help you open doors or change jobs or make you relatable for whichever opportunity you're going after. It gives, for me, for example, it's given me the flexibility to be in marketing or HR or sales, or right now I'm in commercial banking. It's your brand. It's what people know they get, so to speak, when they engage with you. And that when you know what that is and you're authentic to yourself, you also know what you want because you can start guiding yourself, not necessarily by title or by the climb, but by what engages me, what excites me, and how can I find the what's next for for me. So that's where, personal brand has been quite informative. And it's okay if you evolve and change too. I just want to say that, you may have a brand early on in your career that people tell you these are your strengths, this is what you stand for, go out and express yourself. But you can evolve, change, and transform however many times you want.
Love it. Love it, Tina. Thank you so much. Kay, how about you?
Oh, I love everything everybody said so far. I too am with the authenticity of it all. Be you. I've worked with so many women in C-suites that said when they got in, they tried to be like one of the bros, and it just didn't come over and it didn't sit well with them. So I say just be you. I was told so many times, especially going into television, you're dark skinned. Back then, I had a lot of hair. Make sure it's straight and sitting on your shoulders. You can't be certain ways. You can't do certain things. And the moment that I became myself, the doors started to open. I cannot begin to stress this with people. Be you. Your voice is needed more than any time now. So don't be afraid to use your strengths. You have a ton of strengths. I don't even know you, and I can tell you you have a ton of strengths. And so just be comfortable in your skin, and your tribe will come.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Marilyn, how about you?
Well, I think everybody's already kind of said it all. So I think I might add something different here and help people um, with one of the approaches we use at Icon Talent Partners. So with every program and initiative that we do at Icon, we always start with helping our young people or talent get a good understanding of themselves.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is key. It is a gift. We always let folks know that when you don't know where you're going, anywhere will get you there. But once you get a solid understanding of who you are, what your values are, what your strengths are, what your interests are, what your competencies are, and you are honest and true to yourself, then you're able to evaluate opportunities as they come so you can see what's actually a distraction, what's actually a real viable option for you, and where you think you're going to have the most success. So we always use a strengths-based approach to decision making, helping people understand that they're going to find that fulfillment in that nexus between my competencies, my capabilities, and my interests. And so really when you're trying to think about your personal brand, it's very hard to have a brand if you haven't done that brand identity and getting clear in terms of the fundamentals about who you are and how you'd like to show up and where you'd like to thrive. And so if I can add to this conversation, we know that once you do have that personal brand and it can open doors and take you places, but there's really something about setting that up in the beginning by having a real heart-to-heart conversation with yourself and recognizing that your story doesn't have to look like Nancy's and it doesn't have to look like Dina, it doesn't have to look like Kay's, and being authentically you is really your own superpower and nobody can do it quite like you. So as you're thinking through your brand, as you're thinking of the promise you're making to people once they get you, as you're thinking of that marketing document, whether it's LinkedIn or the videos or what have you, there's nothing better than just getting a really solid grasp of yourself. And Brian, I know you share this is a really young audience that listen to you sometimes, and I know there's some older people. But in this world of social media, a lot of people don't know themselves. They are so confused, so bombarded with other people's opinions and thoughts of themselves. They can't even hear their own voice. And so if really there's something about turning off the world, getting back in touch with yourself and just making a promise to yourself to be true to what lights you up, because what lights you up will literally light other people up. So I think there's really a lot of magic in just getting clear about yourself.
Wow. Wow. This, first of all, you all, wow. Thank you. It has been an incredible conversation. I mean, this could be a whole series, I think now. But I know we are running out of time as I look at the clock here, but I want to really, first of all, when I put this panel together, I knew who I was reaching out to, and this really blew me away today with the amount of insights, thoughts, everything that you shared with the audience and with me today. I can't thank you enough for sharing your insights, experience, and passions. You are all driving change, and as we celebrate International Women's Day, your words remind us of all the importance of resilience, collaboration, and empowering each other. And I want to thank you all for being a part of this podcast. For our listeners, If you enjoyed today's Popscast, please share it with your network. You can also find us now at coffeewithconvery.com or on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to also follow us on Instagram for updates and more inspiring content. And remember, this is Coffee with Convery, where we show you that success isn't about climbing the corporate ladder. Sometimes it's about building your own jungle gym. Thank you again, ladies.